Hello everybody, Eric Worre here, and I am happy to bring you another top earner interview. Today I got Mr. Doug Parker. Doug, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Where'd you come in from?
So McKinney, Texas.
McKinney, Texas.
Yes, sir.
Do they let you wear that fancy of a suit from McKinney, Texas?
You gotta be careful.
Do you wear it? You don't wear it around town.
Every once in a while.
Really?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have a cowboy hat?
I do not have a cowboy hat.
Do you have cowboy boots?
I do have cowboy boots.
Do you have a big cowboy buckle?
No. I got the Wranglers though. I wore them this weekend, man. I did a little bit of work. Some are heavy duty.
Well, I lived in Dallas, Texas, between Dallas and Fort Worth, the Flower Mound, Capel, whatever they call it, area for several years. Addison for a little bit of time.
Yep.
Back in the day, back in the 90s.
Yes, sir.
I left. How long have you been there?
I'm born and raised in Texas. So my whole life.
So you probably remember the summer of 1999, it was over 100 degrees for over 100 days straight. And that was my last summer. I was like, I got to go.
So Las Vegas is better than...
It is actually. It is. I moved to Minnesota, which is where my family's from, but there's a difference with the humidity, you know?
There is.
It can be something else. So I figure out the way to make the humidity work. But anyway, happy to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And I want to hear about your network marketing story.
Sure.
But I want to start with your story. What's your story? Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up out in East Texas, out by kind of Tyler area. And so I grew up out in the country in the middle of nowhere. Long story short, my parents got divorced when I was 8 years old, and I had, the kind of kid had holes in my jeans when having holes in your jeans wasn't really cool. And I didn't know any different than that. That was just normal for me. There was some kids that had a little bit of money in our school and they had some nice stuff, but that was never me. I lived with my mom after my parents got a divorce, and I didn't realize it really until recently just how massive of a situation it was. I mean, she made minimum wage. She made $3 and something an hour. And it was really tough. I mean, some of our, maybe once every month or every other month, we'd go to Tyler and we would go, she'd come get me from school and we'd just take an early day. And there was this little restaurant called Casa Ole, and we would both get child's plates, and it was $1.99. And that was fine for me, but my mom would eat that just so we could go out to eat. And it was like, $4 or $5, for a meal. But that was my favorite time to be able to go do that, because it was the only time we ever got to go out and do anything. I never missed a meal. I always had clothes. I mean, it wasn't like we were just total destitute or anything, but didn't have anything. And it caused me to want to work and to make more of myself. So I raked leaves for, $5 or $10, or I'd mow lawns. I sold.
When did you start doing that? When did you start wanting to earn your own money?
That really, it started very young. Like even when my parents were still married, my dad and I sold little pieces of holly. He took me around in an apartment complex. We'd cut down a holly tree, trimmed it up, and then I would sell for $0.25, just regular pieces of holly at Christmas time. And it had berries on it. It was 50 cents. And so that kind of, just made a little bit of money doing that kind of stuff. And then probably, maybe when I was 10 years old or something, I would, rake leaves or mow lawns or whatever. And it wasn't like I had it as a career. I had a crew, nothing like that. But I always just did odds and end work to make extra money. So
you think that entrepreneurial bug was it entrepreneurial? Like you wanted to be in business just for the excitement of it? Or was it just to be able to do things you couldn't do? Or what was it?
I knew the power of money back then. I mean, I knew that it would allow me to do stuff. And then, growing up, I didn't have a great relationship with my stepfather. And it was just kind of like this weird deal. And for me,
how about with your dad? What was the relationship with your
Great. Dad? Still to this day, my mom, my dad, it's unbelievable. And we all get along. Whenever I start having kids, I said, hey, everybody's coming over at Christmas and birthdays. We're having one. Y'all can get along. If you don't, you won't be invited back. Pretty simple process. And we've always gotten along. So it's worked out great. So everybody's great, but I really just wanted options. And so whenever I got old enough to work, to drive a car, do those kind of things, I worked, a lot, like 40 plus hours a week while I was going to high school. And I just wanted to have enough money to get out. When I was 17, I graduated high school. I moved to Dallas, and then the rest.
What'd you want to do?
I just want to make money. It didn't
matter, just money.
I really used to think I would do, as long as it's moral, ethical, I didn't care what I did. I just want to make money. And so as a young adult, I was in car stereos. That was kind of cool. It was fun, exciting. I liked that. But then I realized very quickly I couldn't support my family on that, and I had to go do something different. And so
this is when was this car stereo thing?
So from the time I was about maybe 17
No,
until
what years?
Oh, this was in the early 90s.
Okay.
In the early 90s, yeah.
Yeah, so when car stereos were a thing.
Absolutely, yeah. We would go to
everybody's getting their cars all tricked out.
Yeah.
Putting the big subwoofers in and stuff.
I had 10, 12-inch subwoofers in the bed of a truck one time. I mean,
what was like the platinum standard? What was like the ultimate kick-ass setup? What was the brand?
So I had Hyphonics. That was the brand that we had, but there was Orion. There was a bunch of different ones, and so. But I went with Hyphonics, and I got them to do some stuff for me. Where they gave me kind of.
Does it even have that anymore, or is it all just?
I haven't looked at it. The problem is stuff doesn't integrate anymore. When you look at the dash of your vehicle, your AC and everything's all integrated. It's so difficult to do anything that it's kind of gone by the wayside.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I remember those days. I had some friends that back when Best Buy was just starting and all this stuff, friends that had their little shops with all their speakers and stuff. They're always talking about the latest and greatest things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Fascinating.
Yes, sir.
Fascinating. All right. So were you a good student in high school?
It's a relative term. I was pretty smart. And so because I worked, I never did any homework. I'm not proud of this part, but I never read a book my whole entire life when I was growing up. And I would just do enough to get by. I could make good enough grades. I remember one time in geometry, my teacher, I'd leave my books in the class. And she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm leaving my books here." She goes, "Why are you doing that?" I was like, "Because I'm not going to take them home with me. I'm not going to take them in the locker. They'll be here tomorrow. That's what I'm doing." And she basically said, "Well, you have to do the homework and this and that." And I was like, "Listen, I'll do it right up to the bell. When I get here tomorrow, I'll do as much as I can before you start. You can grab me on what I've gotten done. You can mark the rest of them wrong. I don't care. But I'm not going to homework." And she's like, "Well, you have to do the homework." I was like, "Well, why?" She goes, "Well, so you can learn how to do it." I was like, "Well, if I know how to do it, is that okay?" She's like, "Well, you got to be able to pass the test." I said, "So let's make a deal. If I can pass the test without doing all the homework, and I will do as much as I can while I'm here, are you okay with that?" She's like, "Well, you can't do that." "Well, are you okay with it?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah." So wind up, she was okay with it. We did the deal, wind up making the grades, and I made all A's and B's. And
so you're a salesman in high school.
Absolutely.
You're selling your teachers on this
since
stuff.
I was a little kid, yeah. No turning it off, for better or for worse.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Full on?
100%, all the time.
So like if you wanted to have candy at the grocery store or whatever, it was happening?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, even my kids.
Relentless?
Yeah, my daughter, when she first started talking, she'd be like, "Dad, can I have 6 pieces of candy?" I'm like, "No, you can't have 6 pieces of candy." And she would work her way down to 1. She found out very quickly. You just ask if you want a kitten, you ask for a horse.
Got a bracket in order to be able to get there.
Absolutely.
Smart.
Yes,
Very
sir.
smart. I have one of those too.
Yeah.
Always
awesome.
negotiating.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good skill to have.
So you move to Dallas and you go to work selling car stereo stuff.
Yep.
Figure out that doesn't work.
Yeah, it was kind of a...
Did you go to college or no?
I've never been to college one day in my life.
Okay.
So
you did that to go to, you're going to have that job. Then where'd you go from there?
So as fate would have it, I was in the car stereo business, but we actually were going to get acquired. One of the companies I had it was a cell phone company also. And then it was a car dealership. It's just this weird dynamic. And I was driving from one dealership to the next, and a piece of wood flew through the windshield of my car and broke my hand. And put 8 pins in my hand. It was like this devastating situation where I'm a kid that has 2 kids. My wife's a full-time student.
So wait. Where'd this wife and kids come in?
So basically I met my wife when I moved to Dallas.
Okay.
My
18?
My grandma said, she always told me, you need to get a good Christian girl. And I was like, I mean, it made sense to me. Well, this was a good Christian girl. I knew her for literally for 6 weeks. We flew to Vegas and got married. So really? 25 years, yeah. So 25 years later, our 25-year anniversary is here in a couple, in February.
Really? Mm-hmm. So you get married 25 years ago, boom, what did your parents think of this idea?
They know I'm a person of action. So they were like.
What did her parents think after 6 weeks?
They weren't super happy about it. They didn't know me yet. It took them years to
warm
understand
up?
Me. Yeah. I mean, they were always nice to me and everything, but it was a little girl,
So how old were you when you had a kid?
19.
And how were you when you had the second kid?
20. Telling you, man, I don't mess around.
So you go do this. You're selling this stuff. It's not enough money to be able to take care of a family,
right?
And so now that I'm caught up on the family,
yeah.
What's your wife's name?
Julie.
Julie. Okay. And she puts up with all your craziness?
Barely, but yes.
Okay. Yeah, she must be like a saint.
She is a saint. Absolutely.
All right. So this all happens. And then what happens?
So then this piece of wood flies was going to show my car. And while I wasn't able necessarily to make ends meet on just the car stereo stuff, I could always do side hustle stuff. I had always put stuff in a radio and alarm system and make enough money to get by. We were okay. But when that happened, I couldn't do that. My hand was in a cast for 3 months, and it was devastating. I mean, it was financial. I had to feed my kids, had to pay my rent for my apartment, I had to pay my car payment. And other than that, everything else went by the wayside. And God provides in the most interesting ways. And so while it totally financially devastated us, she was going to school to be an occupational therapist. She only liked like maybe 4 or 5 or 6 months being done with that. So we had to get her out of school. I jumped into the automobile business, to the car business, because I met somebody through that circle, and they were like, you should come be a car salesman. And I was like, I don't want to be no car salesman. He's like, well, that guy made this guy made this guy made that. I said, no, I think I might want to be a car salesman, because it was about 80, 90 grand a year compared to this 30, 40, 50 grand a year kind of area I was in. And so I jumped in the car business, went to work, and I still know all those guys. They make fun of me still this day. They'll be like, I said, I have to make $2,500 a month. I mean, I have to feed my family. I have to make that. And they're like, I said, I have to have a guarantee. They said, well, we'll make you one guarantee. We guarantee if you only make $2,500, we'll fire you. And they thought it was funny because the car business is real brutal. And it really upset me. And I because I felt it was a little bit disrespectful, because I was like pouring my heart out because I had to feed my kids. But they saw something in me. I'd worked with them in the car stereo business. And so ultimately, I went to work there. My first month in the car business, I made $7,800. And so it was like, blew my mind. I stayed at that dealership for 6 years. But during that process, I started a credit repair company and went back in and repaired my own credit, did it part-time. And then in 2003, I left the automobile industry after being there for 6 years. And we formally, set up this company. And then we took it, we're on Inc. 500 3 times. And it was just, a gift from God, from something terrible happening to me that I thought, poor me,
That's where all the good opportunities come from.
Yeah, no question about it. And so so we did that for, we've had that company now, I haven't had an employer for 17 years, but about probably about 10 years into that full time, I had a situation pop up with the government. And I thought, I'll fight them to the bloody end. It don't matter to me. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm right. I'm not doing anything wrong. Was it like
a tax thing?
No, not at all. No, it was with the Federal Trade Commission. And it was a procedural thing. Texas law said one thing. Federal law said another thing. We felt that the state law, not that it overrode the federal law, but it gave extra protections for consumers. And because those extra protections were there, it gave us some leeway to do things a certain way. It was really like what day you charge them on, whether it was the first day or the third day. It was very minuscule. And I thought somebody will get their head screwed on straight at some point up there, and then we'll put this thing behind us and move on down the road. 5.5 years later, about $2 million in real money, they basically, in not so nice words, just said, hey, listen, you keep this up, we'll spend all your money. You may win in appellate court. We'll take the Supreme Court and you won't win there. And it just kind of shook me to the core. It's like I'd gone all in.
Going against unlimited dollars.
Yeah, this, sometimes you're young and dumb.
And it's ego. I mean, all of it's ego on all the sides.
And they want to, and it was on my part too. I mean, in hindsight, I could have settled it. They offered to me to sell it for $0 in the beginning and just don't do, and I'm like, no, then I'll have to say I did something wrong. It'll be public then because it was non-public. I was like, I don't want to ruin our reputation. Well, did that, spent the money, slowed down all of our growth. Everything just kind of came crumbling down. So we still have the company, still going strong. But about 7 years ago, one of my employees knocked on my door and starts telling me about this opportunity. We had 110 employees, and he knocks on my door one day.
Network marketing shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So at this time, were you making a reasonable living?
Oh, we were making a killing. Yeah.
So 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for many years.
What caused you? Because some people have a belief about network marketing that's only for people who, it's like the last stop before you give up on life. It's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like if you have no other options, then network marketing might be for you, type of a thing. There's a whole other group of people that people don't realize, professionals, successful people that just understand the business of it, and say, okay, I'm going to come in and leverage this model?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a couple of different things. So I think a big part of it was right time. He just hit me at the right time. I was looking to diversify a little bit, and I didn't understand network marketing at all. But I thought at the time, hey, I've got about 40,000 customers in this other business. I can leverage that. I can offer them, because it's in the energy space, so I can just offer them energy, and it'll be really easy. And structurally, what I did was I put my dad in above me, and I was like, hey, I'll let you have access to all of our customers. Just sign them up and do whatever you do. And like, I really wasn't planning on touching it a whole lot, but more, one thing led to another, one thing that led to another. And then it got to, it wasn't fun for me anymore at the other business. And then I was going to DC all the time. And then it was kind of an aha moment. I got on a plane, and when I was coming back from DC, and there was two.
Why were you in DC all the time?
We started we have a lobbying group that was up there, and we started a nonprofit, a trade association. And so it was all that to do with the industry, because we didn't have that in our industry. And then I was more of the CEO. I was doing that. So I was negotiating contracts on insurance stuff. It's like no fun at all. It's totally boring. It wasn't entrepreneurial stuff. It was just wasn't fun.
Do you get bored easily, generally?
Every 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Like it's a run. It's always a run and a grind and structure.
You got to shake it up, reinvent yourself, something.
Yep. That's kind of been my rhythm. It seems like every about 5 to 7 years, that seems to be the rhythm. Yep.
So you get introduced to this thing. One of your customers, you said?
One of my employees.
One of your employees.
Yeah.
That's a risky thing.
Oh yeah.
Going to the boss and saying, hey, I've had this opportunity.
Well, and so the funny thing was he was pitching. He was pitching, but he wasn't. He was telling me what he was going to go do. And he had already signed up for it. He didn't tell me that, but it was what he was going to go ahead and do. He kind of wanted my opinion, blah, blah, blah. But the reality of the story was, I'd recruited him to come to work for me. He was a entrepreneur also. I was like, hey man, come over here, work for me for 6 months, just get stabilized. Then after that, hey, maybe we'll do business together, or you'll do something else, whatever. Well, this was the 6-month anniversary when he knocks on my door. So I thought he was just quitting. And then he starts telling me about it. And I was like, hey, well, is it this company? He's like, yeah. So that happened to be that the network marketing company was the fastest growing company, Inc. magazine, when we were on the list. So we were familiar with it already. I was like, well, hey, sign me up. He's like, really? So he's kind of pitching me, but not really. And I really just put a position in, because I thought, I'll have my dad do it, and we'll make this deal work. But one thing led to another, and a couple of years into it, I
What's
decided,
the one thing that led to another that started to have you look at it?
So the other business got less and less fun. I'm a super positive guy, high energy, love, excitement, all that. And I didn't think it was depression at the time. I didn't realize it. But I really was like kind of depressed. Like I don't think I was like clinically depressed, but I just didn't enjoy going to work.
Going through the motions.
Yeah, I went to work every day, early there, late, whatever. But I caught myself just like daydreaming about just not even wanting to be there, not wanting to be with the employees, not wanting to do stuff, not wanting to scale it or grow it anymore. I didn't want to leverage, any resources I had towards further going into it, because I was afraid that I'd have that situation again or something similar to that. And so I started figuring out, what am I going to do next? And I went to the guy that was upline for me at the end of 2015. And that was kind of the tipping point for this business. I said, for me. And I told him, I said, if I can't make at least 10 grand a month part-time, I'm out. And his eyeballs got big, because he wasn't making 10 grand a month. He was doing it full-time. And I said, I know what my skill set is. I know how hard I work. I've been doing this for 2.5 years. I'm not really making any money, really. And I like everybody, but I don't need something else to do. And so I've got to focus on something, because I'm used to making money. I got 30-year commitment on a house. I got kids going to college. I got to make some jack. Let's go. And he's like, well, how are you going to do that? I said, I have no idea, man. I close everybody I talk to. And he goes, well, who's doing your 3-way calls, your validation? I'm like, I don't need nobody to validate nothing for me. I can close them, no problem. And he's like, well, that's the problem. He goes, that's the reason why nobody's doing anything, because there's no duplication. I had zero duplication. I could close anybody I talked to, and they could do nothing after that. And so we put together a game plan. I went in and interviewed 50 of the top leaders in our company. I podcasted it out. This was back at 2016. So I did just an aggressive interview process. Every single week I did an interview for 52 weeks. It was an intro and an exit and 50 interviews in the middle of it. And there was consistent things that people said that I needed to be doing 100% of the time. And then there was always some golden nugget that someone threw out there that wasn't, what anyone else had said. And I went back and started applying that to my business, promoted to the second highest level in the comp plan within about 8 months.
So what were the things that you applied?
I mean, well, first of all, the written list, the invitation, presentation, validation, those fundamentals. I had never done that before. Out of pure arrogance, because I'd run a multi-million-dollar company, I thought, I don't need to do any of that. I didn't understand network marketing at all. So I just started doing the fundamentals. I had studied for about 2.5 years the company, and there was some holes in the company. So I found some outside the box ways to kind of plug those holes, and to where people get paid faster. We could make put a little supercharger on it, and then for me it was just getting paid, and then having the belief and confidence in it. So it was okay. I know if I get to this level, I can make X amount of dollars. When I started making X amount of dollars, then I had no problem talking to other people. I didn't tell them what I made or anything.
Give me a breakthrough that happened during that 8 months where you just went, oh, okay, this was a moment where you went, yep, I'm on the right track.
So during those interviews, I started kind of popping off and saying, well, I'm going to get to this rank by this date. And then I'm going to get to this rank by this date. Well, I'm talking to these leaders, like high up leaders all the time. And I'm basically nobody in the business at that time. They knew I had some skills in other areas, but not in this business. That's the great thing about network marketing. Your pen level tells everything. I mean, it don't matter what you were in some past life. That's where you are in this business. And that's where I was. I was what we called a senior consultant. So I was just the second promotion level. And so the breakthrough was really when it was like in June, and our conference is in August. And I needed something like 60 team members and all in the right place. And I had 60 days left to get there. And I was like, oh man, like I've stepped in it. I went and told all these people, this is what I'm going to do. And now, and that's not the trajectory I've been on. I mean, I'm doing good. I'm making progress, but I'm not doing one a day, every single day in the right place, 7 days a week. So literally I put a spreadsheet together that day. And then like the next day I was sending it to my upline to just 3 specific people. And every single day I sent them exactly how many customers I needed, how many consultants I needed, what position. I took a screenshot of the spreadsheet and sent them every day for 60 days. And one night it was like at 11:30. And she's like, what are you doing up? Because I go to bed early. I go to bed at like 9 o'clock at night, but I wake up at like 4:30 or 5. She's like, what are you doing up at 11 something at night? I was like, I'm going to hit this goal no matter what. So I got there about 4 days before our conference, and that was a real breakthrough. And our company's real cool about a lot of stuff, and they announced some big things at the conference that technically I wouldn't have qualified for because I promoted too quickly. It was if you promote after the event.
Oh, I see.
And the lady called corporate and said, hey, listen, he pushed like crazy to get there before. Y'all should really let him participate in it. And then they did, and then I hit him for it twice. So I twice the goal. So yeah, but that was really the breakthrough. That run up to that last 60 days.
What kind of effort did you put into that 8 months? I mean, real life. You've been hanging around for 2.5 years.
Yeah. And
then an 8 month push. Give me a level in terms of hours a week.
Yeah. So I'm a workaholic. So I reallocated, but I normally work about 80 hours a week very consistently since I was a kid. And so what I didn't tell you was during that time frame also, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. So basically March of 16, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And that
4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago. Yeah, she's been done with the treatment for about 4 years.
So great.
Yeah. So she's doing better and really excited. But one thing that hit me too was we'd been entrepreneurs. We worked side by side. I mean, you're talking about, did she put up with all your stuff? Yeah, she was actually the administrative person that cleaned up all my messes for 20 years. And we looked up and like, is it over? I mean, we thought, we didn't know how bad it was and is it truly over? And so during that run, it was, she's getting treatments, I'm making the run to do this. And part of it was the residual income nature, the true residual income nature of the business. Because if something like that were to happen to me, I've always been the one that can go make it rain. I mean, I had one of my guys tell me years ago, he's like, listen, he goes, I told my wife a long time ago, I'm good for 10 grand a month. He goes, his situation was, I'm just never going to have more bills than $6,500 a month because I can go make 10 grand a month anywhere, anytime, any place. And I've always stuck by with that. I mean, I spend more than that. That's great. But if I need to stop spending, I can. And so, but the problem is if something happened to me, what would happen then? And could I take care of her? If I had to quit.
Kind of a wake-up call, huh?
Absolutely, because the workaholic has worked out great for us all these years making a bunch of money. because mom could stay home. She's great. She could take care of kids. I say she never stayed home. She worked too, but she could take care of the kids or whatever. But if something happened where we didn't have that, it would be game over. And so that was kind of the drive for me. It was like, I got to get there. I got to get to this other company. We're the ones running it. And if we were to leave and I don't even like it anymore, what happens to that? And it was this real quagmire of situations. And so, but I probably legit worked 4 to 8 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week leading up to that. I mean, I'm relentless. And then once I got to that level, I told the guy that was upline from me, the 10 grand conversation, I was like, "Now wait till I get promoted to the executive. Once I get there, you'll see me really work," because that's when it unlocked more of the comp. Then I went on a serious grind for real and promoted to national, which was like 40 of us out of 400,000 people in the world. And I did that in less than 2 years, which is most of these people take 6-7 years to do that.
Yeah. So you hung around for a while. You made a decision. Mm-hmm. You went after it hard. Mm-hmm. What's one thing that surprised you in that 8-month season? Is there anything that did like, wow, I didn't expect that?
I didn't expect that. So for me, it was just going through the motions of like you just have to do this to get there. And they make a big deal out of it when you get promoted. To me, it wasn't a big deal. It just unlocked comp for me. All I wanted was the money. That's all I really cared about. I didn't care about the pin, the position, the accolades. I just give me the money. So the amount of people that sometimes get there and then they think they're a big deal and they've arrived. And I'm not saying that in any disrespect to any of the people that have gotten.
No, it's common. I tell people you shouldn't celebrate a too low of a rank.
Well, I don't celebrate anything. I just want to get paid. It doesn't matter to me what my rank is. Sometimes they want to give me these nice introductions, and I'm like, listen, guys, like you don't have to go overboard. You don't have to do none of that. Like this is Doug. He's got a little more experience than I do. That's it. I'm cool with that. I don't need you to tell me to make me feel better. I'm cool with whatever. But that's a network marketing thing that's hard for me to wrap my head around because it really is about setting the stage a lot. And that's not me. I just want to go to work and make money.
Is it still?
Yeah.
It's just unlock the dollars.
That's it. That's it. I mean,
that's the driver.
I'm money motivated. Yeah. I mean, I'm truly money motivated, and that's the goalpost. I want to help people. I want to do those things. I want to have them make me one of my.
Will it stay there? Do you think even when you have enough that you don't need anymore?
So I know your story, and I know you've been through some tough times and been broke before. So when I was going through that, when I was like fearful of being able to feed my kids. So when you for real been broke before, for real, and you're like wondering like, am I going to be able to feed my kids? I said then I was like, God willing, I will never be this broke again. Now I'm on the other side of it, the opposite side of that now.
Yeah.
And I likely will never be that way again unless something catastrophic happens to me. But it's like a fear.
Do you have a number?
Yeah, $10 million in the bank.
10 million liquid.
Yeah, 10 million liquid because 10 million liquid and
you're making 5% $1 million a year,
net,
whatever.
It's 500 grand. I got it mapped out to where if 5% net, money coming out after taxes.
Yeah.
That's 500 G's a year, and that's 50 weeks out of the 52. I got 10 grand a week that I can just blow and never touch my principal.
Right.
But then when that happens, I don't think it changes nothing, to be honest with you. I think that's just another thing you can set aside and say, okay, I've got this now.
Right.
Because I like to.
So long as you're enjoying your life.
Yeah, I love working. It's fun to me.
Yeah. All right. I think that's a good number. I mean, my number's higher than 10 now, but.
When I get to 10, it'll probably be something different.
And I will tell you, fascinating thing. I went through 3 phases in my network marketing career, kind of emotionally. Phase 1 was desperation, just survival, finding to make, it was just very, very self-centered of like, look, I gotta just make the dollars. Phase 2 was the ambitious side of our business. And we're very good at that. Mm-hmm. The ranks, pins, trips, incentives, bonuses, all that stuff, right? I want to win, all that. So, but phase 3 kind of became, and it's a different kind of fuel. It's interesting. Phase 3 for me was, how many people can I help? And there's a different kind of emotional payoff. And the crazy thing for me is when it stopped being about me and it started being about others, the income went exponential without any effort, because like the effort was always the the ambition part of it, but it became effortless, and it was just like you're a money magnet. It's crazy.
So there's a transition going on. So that one of the cool things, we just had our conference a couple of weeks ago, and I've got, including myself, 4 of my guys are top 50, and so I'm number 7, and then one of my guys is number 10. And that's something where other than me, there's never been anybody else on our team that's been one of those. So it's starting to get there. And that was one of the coolest things to think, man, I got it's not only duplication, but it's like duplication and successful duplication, like high performing successful people. So that's been really cool to see that.
How can you live with number 7?
Well, I mean, it's just time.
That's what I want to know.
It's just time. They got a head start, but I run faster than they do. So you just got to give me a little bit more distance.
When is number 6 going to fall?
Well, it's pretty close. I mean, I think this year I can move up a couple spots. Some of them have a pretty good head start, but I'll put it like this: there's people that are smarter than me for sure. There's people that have more experience than me. There's people that have whatever more than me. But I promise you ain't gonna work harder than me. There is not a person around.
That's your superpower.
I will outwork you. I mean, that's just all there is to it.
But I mean, look, in 4 years, you kind of went from nothing to number 7 in a big company. Mm-hmm. Just sheer will.
Absolutely. Yeah. And really not knowing what I'm doing. I mean, the reason why, and we haven't really talked about this yet, but the reason why I'm in this next level, mastermind group that you've got put together is not because I'm coming here thinking I know what I'm doing. I got to the point where I felt like I had hit the top.
Got to pick up some ideas.
Yeah. I mean, I got great people. They've spent great time with me within my company, and anybody will talk to me that, but I don't know what else I can learn.
You've learned what you can learn, yeah.
Yeah, and so I had to go outside of it. And I talked to a couple of other people that do training and different things, and I watched GoPro last year virtually because I had a corporate thing in Houston I had to go to, and I couldn't be 2 places at one time. And I heard you talk about this thing, and I immediately sent an email. I was like, "Hey, what is this thing? What are the qualifications? What does it cost?" Because it was very cryptic how you said it in there.
Right.
And
just so you know, this is a mastermind group for 6-figure earners and above. The average earnings in the group's about $900,000 a year. We get together once a week and share ideas, and we get together 2-3 times a year in person in order to be able to share ideas. So it's a peer group. People sharing the best ideas and practice strategies. It's fun. We had a new member yesterday making $1 million a month. Did that mess you up?
Absolutely. Messed me up. And the new guy that I brought into the group messed us both up in a good
$1 million
way,
a month.
And $3 million one year. One time she made $3 million in 1 month.
Yeah. She's a powerhouse.
I love it. I mean, because it's a great equalizer of, yeah, I'm doing okay. Yeah, I came out of nowhere and now I'm here and that's great. And yeah, I'll make it. I'll keep going up the ranks. But then compared to some of these other people, there's Danian in our group that, the kind of jack he's making. I mean, it just makes me think, I love success. I love seeing other people's success. Them having success doesn't take away from my success. So it doesn't concern me in the slightest little bit, but it lets me know it's out there. It's out there to be had. You just got to go get it and figure out how do you do those things.
Right. What's your favorite thing about network marketing these last 4 years? What do you like the best?
I really like the camaraderie. I really like the teamwork, the helping people to build stuff. This guy, I'm telling you, it's
a little different because in traditional business, there's a winner and a loser. And in our business, like if you're on Wall Street, to go get the money, you got to take it from somebody else.
Well, and here's what so Zig Ziglar was a mentor of mine. Zig used to say, if you'll just help enough other people get what they want in life, you'll always have what you want. I mean, I've read all of his books and all that, but I mean, I've been to Born to Win. I truly got to know him. And I always tried to help people. And it was the weird thing in traditional business. I helped them so much, they would leave me.
They become your competition.
But absolutely. And then it was an ugly situation. And I hated that part of it. And it's I almost started not trying to help them do stuff anymore because I didn't want to create this vicious cycle. And it was this another conundrum.
It's a weird catch-22. You want to help people, but you don't want to, turn them into your competition.
Right.
And cut your own legs off.
And it's a crazy
because you can't lock them in forever. You know?
No. And you don't want to do that. And network marketing allows you. One of the kids that went to high school with my kids, I followed him for a couple of years. He was doing pretty successful in some stuff, and I recruited him for 2 years. And he actually finally jumped in, joined, went to work, supremely talented, 25 years old. Kid made multiple six figures last year and was a top 10 guy.
How fun.
And 25 years old. I mean, just because we have a process, we got a great company, follow the process, let's go.
Love it. So camaraderie, what's your least favorite thing? They're like
Quitters.
Quitters?
Yeah.
People, the tourists?
Yeah. I mean, it just...
They come in, with the big talk, and then they're gone, and,
Yeah, it's just, I mean, they say one thing, they're incongruent. They say one thing, and then they do another.
Yeah. That's fear-based, though, just so you know.
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff, though, that's just action-based. So, like, it sprinkles outside, and then they can't make it to a meeting that night. And I got to be careful because I can get pretty hard in the paint. I'm like, so did you go to work today? Oh, so you went to work to the thing that you want to quit, but the thing you think is going to free you from that, it sprinkled outside and you couldn't make it to work, or you got a hangnail.
Well, I would tell you, this $1 million a month woman from yesterday, what do you think she'd do in that same situation? She's not messing around.
She's off.
These top earners, man, they do not sugarcoat nothing.
No. Yeah.
So quitters is your least favorite thing. What's been your biggest challenge? If you last 4 years, what's been your biggest challenge to go to the next level?
The biggest challenge to go to the next level, I mean, I think it's the thing you love best about this business is the people, and the thing that's the most frustrating are the people. I mean, it's mining through enough enough dirt to get to a couple of nuggets of gold.
Right.
I think that's the biggest struggle for me, and trying to allocate the time and get that true duplication and find those leaders that can duplicate. And I think it's just a timing thing. It's just, I've just got to continue to do it longer, train them better, continue to go through the process, get more skills from things like this, and just keep going through that process.
What are you most proud of?
Most proud of? A couple things. I would say both of my kids are now done with college. And all the money that I'd saved, I'm a good old East Texas boy. Like I said, I came from, really not much of anything, but I thought I had done a great job. I saved about $35,000 per kid for my kids to go to school. And I thought, I didn't even think I could afford to go to school when I was a kid, and I paid for my wife's college after she got out. And my daughter just graduated from a school that costs $170,000 to go to. She's now one class away from having her master's degree from that school. And good news is she's a collegiate athlete. She's pretty smart, so she got some scholarships too. But in Proverbs, it talks about how a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. It's legacy based. Both of my kids now are educated. Neither one of them will ever pay a student loan. They don't have student loans. They got nothing. It's all paid for. But that money that I saved, that would not have even been, you put both of them together and double it, it wouldn't have been enough for my daughter's education. But it's still sitting in the account, drawing interest. And, my son, I kind of jokingly say, about 4.5 years ago, my son came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, Michaela's pregnant." That was his girlfriend. And I was like, "Okay, did you have anything to do with that?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay." So now I've got this granddaughter that's 3.5 years old. And that money that really wasn't sufficient, even though I was proud of myself for saving it, wasn't really sufficient enough for my kids to go to school on it. It will be for the next generation because it'll compound over those next 2 decades. But I've got a 3.5-year-old granddaughter that's here right now that it went from a thought a few years ago to it's a biblical principle to this will be cool to now it's for real. It's right now that money is there for the next generation. So that's probably one of the things I'm most proud of.
You talked about faith several times in this conversation. How important was faith in your life, in your business? How's that shown up?
Yeah, it's super important. I grew up in the church, but I didn't, I never had, accepted Christ, growing up. I just was always on the edge of it. I was always probably raised the right way to be fearful, to know, like I wasn't never sacrilegious or anything crazy. I just knew better. I know babies being born, the tides rise and falling, like that doesn't happen by accident, but I had never seen, a virgin give birth and somebody die for 3 days and come back. I'd seen I'm a kind of seeing, believing kind of guy. And it was a process through it. And I, with Zig going through that, there's a pastor he got stuff from that I actually went and helped him with the church. And then I just got more and more involved in it. It's crazy how all these things kind of interweave. I mean, I did a deal at our church just this weekend that was an entrepreneurial summit. Mm-hmm. And, I get busy and I get distracted, and I'll veer over here, and then it's like a magnetic, like a tractor beam that sucks me back over. And thank God, literally, thank God it does, because I was there and I was like, man, I gotta get more plugged in again. It's an opportunity. The pastor wanted me to do some stuff, and I was selling myself short by not serving. And because I get busy, and I'm not proud of that. That's just the facts that I do that sometimes, and I do it with my family. I work too much, and it's a tough.
So this is a balancer for you.
Oh, it's a tough. Yeah, I don't know if there's such things as balance. I'm so unbalanced, it's unbelievable.
No, but I mean, it'll help you kind of with perspective, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So you said you didn't read anything growing up. Did you read anything? Are you a reader now?
Oh man, I devour books now. So,
really?
Oh yeah.
When did that start?
Probably when I became an entrepreneur. Like I tried to read books. I was never a good reader because I didn't have that practice of being a reader. But I didn't realize this, but I had eye problems. I just wasn't going to wear glasses when I was a kid. And I didn't realize when I was going through it why I got off focus so much was because I just really couldn't focus. Now I got contacts. That helped out tremendously. But when I became an entrepreneur, I just started devouring self-development even more, and listening wasn't just enough. I had
give me 3 books that have had a big impact on you.
I mean, I got
or whatever comes to mind.
One of my favorite books is an Andy Andrews book, and it's called The Traveler's Gift. To me, it's a fiction book, but it has principles in it. I gotta love GoPro. I mean, that applies to our business. I like Building an Empire with Brian Carruthers. That book is very in line with services, which is what we do. So that was a big deal for me. Great by Choice. That whole series of books by Jim Collins, but the blue one, Great by Choice, is really my favorite. And then there's always the oldies but the goodies, the Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Right.
But my first book that I read was Zig Ziglar's See at the Top. I mean, that really is so powerful when it comes to just building a positive self-image and some of those things. I never really had a problem necessarily with that or anything, but it just foundationally gives you so much to work with. That's one of my all-time favorites.
So you mentioned that you get bored about every 5 to 7 years. Mm-hmm. How long you been with your company?
Yeah, that's it. So I've been with the company for 7.
So so my big question is, how are you going to reinvent yourself for the next chapter? So
part of that was really some of the ways that I filled in some of those holes I was telling you about was more of a direct sales model than a network marketing model. Okay. And so corporate is working through some stuff there to make it where it makes sense for everybody involved. And I think part of that's being able to do that. And then part of it was coming here really to this. The
Mastermind.
It was getting plugged into the Mastermind, getting to know you. It's figuring out how to truly get better at because I don't have I have leveraged income, but not this. I go to sleep when I'm sleepy. I wake up when I'm done sleeping stuff. I grind like crazy.
Right.
And I don't know any other way. And the people thing is difficult for me to see people that aren't grinding because I'm thinking to myself.
That are complaining.
Or even if they're not complaining. If your girl's making $3 million a month and she was goofing around, I'd be like, but if you would grind, you could make $10 million a month. Right. I mean, like I don't I always like the grind and the hustle. So that's that. But I think, really going another level deeper and actually becoming a higher level network marketer and really obtaining additional skills.
You became a pro. It's kind of go from a leader now to a legend. Let's go to legendary status.
Yeah. And people that bounce around in the companies, I mean, that's some people's rhythm. I don't want that. I don't want that to be my rhythm.
No.
You got just so much sunk cost,
right.
that it just makes a lot of sense to stick around. And the residual nature of how ours works is tough to walk away from it once it really gets built up.
Do you have a life motto, mission statement, anything that you live by?
Zig's saying of you can have anything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want.
Yep.
The companies I've run, the things I've done, that has truly been the case. You help people, it works out, and it's hard to go wrong by helping folks out. So I just kind of stand by that. I stole it from him, but it really works well.
No, the truth is old, man. Just keeps getting rephrased, but it's old.
That's a good one.
Well, this is your camera. I want you to look in this camera and give your best advice to people who want to have success in network marketing. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would just say if you want to have success in network marketing, number one is put together a plan. That plan should definitely include, working with leaders that know what they're doing. Knock on their door, be bold, ask them how to be more successful at what you're doing. Secondarily, stick to that plan. You got to have grit. You got to have that stick to itness. You got to go get it and make it happen. If you want to go get something, you got to do something different. And there's 168 hours in a week. Okay. It's real easy to be tired. It's real easy after 40 hours of work or having your kids you're taking care of or whatever to say, I'm tired or whatever. Make one more call. That's the one thing is make one more call, 100. And then when you make one more call, make one more call. Sometimes I make one more call until my brain stops working. I'm thinking, okay, what am I doing? What's the next one I need to do? And then I'm like, all right, I probably need to check out now. I'm not worth anything now. And then, lastly is continue to educate yourself. Get plugged in to whether it was within your company, outside the company, GoPro, things like that. Get plugged in. Make sure that you're taking massive action and continue to educate yourself. Doug, thank you for offering up some wisdom, learning your story. It's so great. Thanks for sharing it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got value. If you did, make sure you share this with somebody who would appreciate it. Pay it forward like we do in our profession. But take the information, put it to work, share it with somebody else, and we'll see you next time. Take care.